Hello everyone, I am not dead and I am here with another video. So in this video I'm gonna be using this weapon here and talk about how I almost died from taking Zins. The reason why I want to use this weapon right here is because I've been playing a little bit of Phantom Forces recently and this weapon is very enjoyable, it's very fun. But yeah, let's get right into it. So, what do you mean I almost died by Zins? Well, first things first, if you didn't know, I am very addicted to nicotine. I'm gonna have to say this, don't do nicotine. Actually, the worst thing I've ever gotten addicted to. It doesn't even feel that good, but my body constantly craves it. So, just don't try it. Don't smoke, don't do Zins, don't do any of it, alright? Even if it looks somewhat cool, whatever, right? It's not very fun to be addicted to it. But I am very addicted to nicotine, right? So one night I was playing Counter-Strike with Corny and a few other people. We were on Ancient doing normal Counter-Strike things, such as counter-strafing, lineups, pop flashes, shooting people in the head, and straight up winning. Oh. But while I was playing Counter-Strike, as you might have guessed, I had a little lip pillow, a little cloud in the sky, a little Zin burger, a little Zin lodged in my northern Canful region, which is the usual for me. That's how I usually play my games, with a little Zin in my mouth, right? So as I was sitting there, I kind of noticed that my vision was getting slightly blurry for some reason. I was getting a little bit nauseous. And at the moment, I wasn't really thinking much of it because it didn't really feel that bad. It wasn't like I was gonna throw up literally next second or whatever. So I was kind of just sitting there like, all right, that's not very normal, but I was thinking it's gonna pass. You know, I was just thinking like, hey, you know, this is just gonna go away in like a few minutes or whatever, right? So I was sitting there with blurry vision and a little bit of nausea, and as you might have guessed, it started getting worse and I started getting more symptoms. So, and these symptoms included getting cold hands and cold extremities in general, a headache and pain in my stomach, and the pain wasn't really horrible, and I was also more nauseous, but it wasn't horrible at the same time. But I was getting a little bit like worried. I could still somewhat focus on the game, but I was kind of just sitting there like, hey, this isn't very usual. This isn't very normal. I don't really get cold extremities, a headache, nausea, stomach pains, and whatever out of the blue. So, as you might have guessed, the symptoms started getting even worse. So at some point, I just could not focus at Counter-Strike. I just could not focus. The pain was actually getting kind of bad. So I was kind of just sitting there like, hey guys, I am gonna have to leave. I am not feeling very well right now. So I turned off the game, abandoned, got my competitive cooldown, and went to the bathroom and just looked myself in the mirror, you know, like thinking to myself, hey, I just gotta calm down, take some deep breaths, just calm down for a second, you know, this can't be the end of the world. But as I was doing that, I was hit with the most crazy nausea ever. I fell to my knees, opened the toilet lid, and was so ready to throw up, which for some reason didn't happen. I was sitting there 99% of the way of throwing up, but instead I was hit with the worst physical pain I've been Jesus, man, wait, before I continue the story, I gotta lock in for a second. Okay, whatever, I'm gonna continue the story. But as I was saying, I was hit with the worst pain I've ever felt in my life, and I genuinely fell to the floor, squirming, writhing in pain. It was actually horrible. So as I was laying on the floor, I was genuinely fearing for my life. I was genuinely thinking I was gonna die. So my dumbass stands up, goes to my bed, lays down, opens my phone, and searches up my symptoms, alright? That's what I did, instead of calling an ambulance. But as I was doing that, I was thinking of Nick sickness. I was thinking Nick sickness was the culprit of all this agony. And spoiler alert, it was not Nick sickness. But as I was laying there, I was searching up Nick sickness and how to relieve the symptoms. And apparently, a way to relieve the symptoms is to consume sugar. I don't know why, but if you consume sugar, it apparently does something, right? So I went up to the kitchen, got some syrup. I was gonna search for honey, but I got some syrup instead, which contains sugar, obviously. And surprise, surprise, that did not work, all right? The syrup did not relieve my pain whatsoever. So I was still standing there, Writhing in pain. Well, I got a... Where is it? There it is. All right, I got a melee mid recording. Let's check it out. Hey, that's kind of sick, actually. All right, but as I was saying, I was standing there still in incredible pain, and I kind of realized, hey, if I think I'm gonna die, I am gonna have to call an ambulance, which I finally did. So I called the ambulance, and I get connected to this operator. So I tell him, like, hey, I am in incredible pain right now, and I can barely breathe. And what I think might have happened is Nick sickness. Once again, it wasn't that. Wait. He reconnected me to this nurse operator, whatever you want to call it, and I was kind of talking to her about my symptoms, and I told her that I had really bad pain in my stomach and chest, and she got really worried when I mentioned really bad pain in my chest. Why? Because apparently, if you say you have really bad pain in your chest, that means that might be your heart, and that is really bad if you have really bad pain in your chest. But I kind of described it, or like described it wrong, because it wasn't exactly my chest. It was kind of in the middle of my chest, around yeah, it was on the middle of my chest. So I luckily explained that to her, and she said, yeah, we're not gonna have to send an ambulance with the lights on or whatever. And luckily it was around 4 a.m. when this happened, so it only took like 20 minutes for the ambulance to arrive. But at that point, the pain had gotten to a pretty manageable level, so I wasn't really panicking anymore. I wasn't really thinking I was actually gonna die. I'm getting rolled. I can't even show why this weapon is awesome. But as the medics got here, they put on electrodes on me and whatever, and we were kind of sitting there like, yeah, no, nothing's wrong with your heart or whatever. What we think it is this gastric. They said something about like gastric something, right? And apparently it's something with your stomach acid, and I'm gonna have to say this again. I didn't know it could hurt that bad. And they said like, hey, yeah, we got a lot of calls about this, because yeah, no, it is really painful, and we don't think it's Nick sickness. So I was kind of sitting there like, oh yeah, but how do I make it so this does not happen again? And they said, yeah, you should probably eat a little bit more so you don't have an empty stomach, which I didn't have that night, so I'm not really sure how that happened. And probably cut down on your nicotine, which I did. I did cut down on it. I was doing very strong nicotine products before. Yeah, that's how I thought nicotine was, or I was gonna die from a zen. I guess. I'm gonna lose my mind. 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 I'm gonna lose. Okay, I'm done with this game. Goodbye.